Hi, this is Kristi. This is week 2. I want to welcome you back. Layers, living a life unhindered. As we're going through this week, I just want to say, how are your layers going? Is the Lord peeling back those things that can wrap around our hearts and keep us from hearing His voice? I hope so. The first day we're going to be looking at the layer of judgment. There's an old saying that says, never judge a book by its cover. Yet we do it all the time. We judge people by their status, by their financial abilities. We judge them by their lifestyle choices. And yet the Lord shows us, and we're going to look in John 8, chapter 1 through 11, the story of a woman who was being judged by the Pharisees, and they had brought her to Jesus. She had been caught in the act of adultery. And he began to write in the sand. And as he started to draw there in the sand, and he said, "Whoever is without sin, cast the first stone." Of course, none of them were without sin, so the stones began to fall. He looked at the woman and he asked her where her accusers were, and she said she didn't know, they had all gone. And he said, "Well, neither do I accuse you, or neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." So we're going to look at that and how we tend to judge people before we ever really know their heart. In day 2, we're going to look at the layer of self-reliance, the I factor. What am I going to do? How am I going to handle this situation? We tend to put the focus on ourselves, and instead we should be putting the focus on the Lord and His provision. In Luke 12:16 through 21, we're going to look at the story of a certain rich man who had so much wealth, so much produce and grain from his farm that he was going to tear down his barns and build bigger ones. But yet the Lord said, "You fool, tonight your life will be demanded from you." So, we have to realize that in this life, everything that we have is given to us by the Lord. We do nothing in our own strength or in our own power. In day 3, we're going to look at the layer of self-centeredness. If you think about a wheel, if you look at the wheel, there's a little circle in the middle, or the hub. If you put yourself in that hub, there's spokes that come out from the hub. That is your sphere of influence. You can name things such as you have an influence in the place that you work. You have an influence in your home. You have an influence in your church, or whatever activities you do outside of your home. You have an influence. And so we're going to look at how we need to get out of that mode of self-centeredness and put our eyes focused on others and how we can reach them for Christ. In day 4, we're going to look at the layer of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-image. I couldn't read my writing. How do you see yourself? We're going to look at that. We're going to see just how the Lord sees us. If you look in a mirror and you look and you describe what you see in that mirror, well, how does that differ from what the Lord sees? How do you relate to how the Lord sees you? The Bible talks about that He created you, that He knit you together in your mother's womb. And yet we so often downplay ourselves and things that qualities that God has given to us. He created us the way that we are, and we need to focus on giving Him glory through who we are, but yet always know that everything comes from Him. And then we're going to continue on in day 5 with that and talk about the Samaritan woman. And you remember, if she was the one that felt so bad about herself because she had had 5 husbands, and she was living with a man at the time, and she felt disgraced. She felt ostracized by her peers, and so she actually was coming to the well in the middle of the day when it was the hottest. And yet the Lord took the time to come directly to where she was, and He spent time talking with her, and He spent time revealing Himself to her and showing that her self-worth came not from what she had out there, but from what He could give her. He could give her the living water that she was so longingly for. So as we go through this week, I pray that it will touch your heart. I pray that it will draw you closer to Him, and I'm hoping that it will take away some more of those layers. So I will see you next week.